I think it's like, I often think as time goes on, get older, you've got like less time left.
Yeah.
And, when I think about that, I think, what out of all the books that I've read, what are the ones that I benefit from most? And again, like, I mean, it could be, I could say, oh, it's modern books and psychological research, but they're not really the books that stick with me and inspire me. I do get a lot from them.
Yeah.
But Plato's Apology is one of the, I read it when I was like 16 or 17 or something, and it's got its hooks into me, like in a weird way, partly because the kind of poetry of it and the powerful nature of the images and the extreme nature, the philosophical points being made. There's something about that is significant, I think. And, we tend to water down things a little bit more. There's something like Greek tragedy is really tragic. Like, the ancient literature in some ways adopts more extreme positions, but which again might mean that we'd question it more, but it has leaves a more powerful impression on our mind and provokes more thought, provokes more questions, I think. Socrates says many deeply paradoxical things like, injustice harms the perpetrator more than the victim. No man does evil knowingly. These are questions that people have wrestled with for thousands of years. Like, even if they don't agree with him, that's kind of a contagious idea that you want to kind of like chew over and keep returning to. Could he be right? Like, is there some sense in which he's right? What are his reasons for that? I think there's a lot of truth in the things that he says, but I maybe I'm qualifying that by saying, even if you don't accept these ideas, it still can have a very powerful effect on you, like to confront them and explore them. They're foreign ideas in a sense to the prevailing values of modern society. So they force us to kind of like step outside of our typical assumptions, like, and question things from a radically different perspective. So there's a power to this ancient literature, I think, that is almost timeless. And yeah, I don't have any hesitation recommending to people. I do feel passionate about it. It's been inspiring to me. The strange irony is, like as time goes on, I get older. I read a lot of books over the years. Like, these were some of the first books I ever read.
Mm.
And yeah, like I find myself going back to the beginning, like the things that that originally excited me. And I thought, when I first read Plato, describing these dialogues with Socrates, I'd never read anything like this before. It kind of blew my mind. I thought, I think the first thing that hit me was I'd studied the Bible at school and Sunday school and stuff like that. I had no idea that somebody who lived like 400, 500 years before the New Testament was written could be posing questions like this, and reasoning in such a kind of rigorous and logical way. It seemed so radically different from and yet it resonated with the religion that I'd been taught as a child. But I had assumed that people prior to the time of the New Testament were more kind of primitive and superstitious in their thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I never imagined that somebody like Plato or Aristotle would write and say the things that they did. That seemed extraordinary to me. And it seemed like they were much more contemporary in their thinking than I could have imagined them to be. So it really, it had a very profound effect on me. And also when I read some of the ancient texts, in many cases, they reminded me of Eastern philosophy, Buddhism and Taoism and stuff like that. And that came as a shock to me. I thought you had to go to India to learn about Buddhism and yoga and stuff. I thought I'm going to have to save up for a flight to India one day. to study with the sannyasins and like go to Japan or somewhere and study Buddhism. And then I read Plato and I read the Stoics, and I thought a lot of the stuff is different, but there's similar kind of ideas, and this is part of my own culture. Nobody told me about this. How come no one told me? Like, there's all this stuff like in Western philosophy about impermanence and mindfulness and contemplating your own mortality and all of that. Like, why wasn't there, how come I know about Buddhism but I didn't know about this? Like, it's like it was hidden in my back. It's like it was hidden in my back garden or something like. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's right there. No one even mentioned to me this stuff even existed.